Well, I am excited to be interviewing one of my personal heroes, one of my homiletic heroes, one of my historic heroes, and unapologetically my grandfather, Bishop Calvin Woods. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine. You Mike, but you more than just Mike. I didn't expect you to be this much. About when you little baby boy growing up, and how you always get a ride on my shoulder. And God has used you in such a way now I'm riding on your shoulder.
Oh, I appreciate it.
So
sir.
many times I consult and talk with you.
Yes, sir.
The reason I do that is because I know God has called you
Yes, sir.
and anointed you. Otherwise, I wouldn't consult with you about a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
And you've helped to get me up out of different situations and holes that I wouldn't mention to anybody else.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you'll never forget that you was my very first vice president
Very first, Vice
of
President.
SCLC.
That's
And
right.
God told me to do that.
That's right. When nobody
And,
knew me.
Yeah. You were my first vice president.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I thank God for what he did, but he expanded you in your work so much until your work got bigger than SCLC.
I'm excited, Granddad.
Yeah, but this is the way God did. When I became the president, Spirit had me reach out to you.
That's right.
He did. So I know you are a man of God.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I think that helped me in making many decisions that I've made. See how God has been working through the years, raising people up.
Yes, sir.
He raised me up, and when he got rid of, there was a time when something would be holding me back, taking certain steps. But when God tell you something and prepare you forward with it, he has something else he's going to do.
Absolutely. I know so many times, I'm honored to interview you. So many times we focus on the work of the man. You know, I know personally, you've spearheaded marches, you've been jailed, the work you did at the Woolworth counter, how you fought against injustice for years. But to me, when it comes to purpose and pain, the two aren't mutually exclusive. A lot of people want the purpose, a lot of people don't want the pain. So the question I would like to ask you is, looking back over your life, out of all the things you've accomplished to help other people, here's the $1 million question. What did it cost you?
Well, it cost me an opportunity to learn more about God. He promised me when I was a young man, much younger than you, that he would be with me always, even unto the nations. And I heard that. I remember that. So as a result of me being obedient and going through the pain, I learned more about him. He won't forsake you. That doesn't mean you won't have to go through pain. But just having that assurance of his word that, lo, I'm with you always. So I feel that what I was doing it for God and to the glory of God. It was rough. Sometimes, I know to me telling no lie, saying I wasn't ever frightened sometimes. Yes, sometimes I was frightened. But if I had an unction from God to lead the people in a certain direction, to do a certain thing, I did it anyhow. Because God said do it. That's the only reason I could work in the cause, because it's the work of God.
Yes, sir.
And I feel my salvation is wrapped up in my obedience to God, and it's an honor for God to choose you to do anything. I don't have to choose you. You unworthy, and the worthiness you have, God makes you worthy to do a lot of things I didn't know, but I just trusted him.
And what's incredible is even now when leaders like myself or our Mayor Randall Wolfen or Councilman Clint Woods, A lot of times when we face ridicule on social media, you know, we were like, I can't believe they're talking about me. But then to understand they were actually trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it's different.
That's right. Pulling y'all up. I kill, and that goes on.
Yes, sir.
That usually goes on. It's bad to say, but usually nations, people who struggle and help get them up, they get to a certain point, they set out to destroy them.
Yes, sir.
Pull them down. So I'm glad that you, in your young age, you already know that.
I already know.
It took me a good while, 8 years I've learned that, but see, you got to jump on a lot of folks.
Yes, sir.
God put you in a family with your daddy, your mama, and your granddaddy, and all of that. You got what we got, plus what he gave you. You have reached a height that I never would have thought.
Wow.
I don't know anyone here in Birmingham who has attained some of the things that God has permitted you to attain, not just in Birmingham, but across this nation. And I still had no idea when you sitting beside me in the mass meeting over at 16th Street,
16th
and
Street.
other people that sitting by me, I didn't know that you were that deep and everything, but God was preparing you. He had chosen you out.
Or driving you to Selma.
Yeah, driving me, all of
You
that.
and Colonel.
I didn't know. I knew you were joking when I got to be president, told me to get you.
I know one of the things that's incredible to me is, for the longest, we didn't know you were this civil rights icon. You was just granddaddy. So for me, I want to say thank you, and I think it's so important for people who are reading this to understand that you can be great and still have a family life.
Yes.
You know, I remember coming over for Christmas or literally moving back to Birmingham and just sleeping in one of the rooms at your house.
Yeah.
I know you don't want me to say this, chasing us down the hallway with your teeth. with your teeth. Or I can remember you shooting squirrels.
Yeah.
Shooting the squirrels. Or putting all of us in the car. You would take all of us in the car, take us to Crystal's
That's
or
right.
McDonald's when Uncle Kai worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So tell me this, how important, looking back over your legacy, how important was family to you?
It's very important. God made you a human. He expects you to be a human.
That's right.
Don't neglect that humanness,
Yes,
because
sir.
that's what you are. Don't try to pretend you're so this and you're so that. You have pluses, you have negatives,
That's right.
you have human frailties as well as success. And no need of trying to deny that. God expects us to do that.
That's right.
We got to take time and realize we are humans. Humans have needs. And I wasn't thinking about it like that, but I felt that's what I was supposed to do. God will put you in place, all of you. And I reiterate again, what I can say about you, I know God anointed you.
Yes, sir.
That's why I could come to you and why I still come to you.
Yes, sir.
Still do that. We have talked, people don't know the depths of us, how we've been together
Yes, sir.
through the years, because I know just like God called me, and I know he talked to me. And when he tells me something about it, I'm not the only one.
That's right.
He talked to other people about different things. He may talk to them in different ways, but he's the God of all creation.
Yes, sir.
So it's better when you cooperate, know who to cooperate with and who to desist from. You can't cooperate with everybody for everything.
That's right.
But it's not your will, but I've tried to find out what God wanted me to do. And if I had to stand, look like by myself with that, until he give me somebody else or where to go, ask to help me. And a lot of times, you hate to ask for help, the same thing. But if you're working for God, you do what he tell you to do. And that has meant a lot to me, and you all have been raised you on up. And then, you know, I said, your mom and them say, he can be like granddaddy, but you jumped over granddaddy with what you were doing. And I'm proud now where I've come to. These are fresh legs.
Yes, sir.
A lot of stuff I want to do, I can't do it like I used to do. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I may be able to call some plays for somebody, but I can't run the ball like I used to run it. I can run it.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I can do some quarterback and something like that. But somebody got to run, be able to stand up in the public and get out there and go and do all of that. Now that was a time when, you know, I went with Dr. King all over this country and did many things. I'm not in a position to do that now.
Let's talk about that. What are your recollections of Dr. King, whether personal interaction or otherwise? What are some of your fondest memories of Dr. King?
His humanness, Dr. King's humanness, and he didn't want us to forget that he was a human being. He's very humble, and while he and I got so close together, it's in you, boy. It's because I was bullheaded. A lot of them thought it was hurting me when we get in meetings. I didn't always agree with everybody. It looked like I was on the outside. But he was paying attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times when I go right here, this place, Gaston, where we were born, all meeting around there. Well, there he go with his vision thing. Talking about they didn't want me to. The Lord told me last night they didn't want me to line up on the board. Dr. King said, a lot of them spake. So he wanted to hear that. I stayed in a lot of trouble. They told him up at the city hall, don't bring me back. So don't bring that Calvin Wood. Jesse Lewis, that's a man over the Times.
Say the name. Put the names out there.
Yeah.
Say the names.
They're going to try to keep me off the negotiation committee. Jesse Lewis, a young man, he said, if Calvin Woods ain't going to be on it, there ain't going to be no damn meeting. Ask him. He did. They told him, don't bring me back up there. And I won't call the name. I can call the name. Told me what they told him. He's not living now.
Call the name.
No, I ain't. No, I ain't gonna do that. But they told me, and then because they had to speak with me, I popped right up there, right at the meeting. And in that meeting, one particular meeting, I mentioned about somebody with a high stature said they were going to demonstrate if they didn't go and do what they said they were going to do. And they started pulling my legs in the meeting and everything like that. So a lot of things went down the dam. Dr. King had respect for me for that. Standing up, I had no idea that he was thinking that. Besides, we used to go all over town, out of town, across the country to meetings. And when I go to the meetings, I'd go to the meetings to learn where I could get more like what I was doing, you know, trying to do. And I did that, so I remember a meeting came up. Day and night, I'd be at the meeting, we demonstrate, go to churches and stuff like that, ask me to stay in. And I was scared, I didn't know what I was staying in there for. They said, you gonna hear from us. And they wrote me a letter from Dr. King, them, said, we're considering you to put over the minister's leadership training program.
MIT, wow.
That's how I got into that. I didn't bit more know which way, how to go with that. Andrew Young was the main recipient, and another preacher named T.Y. Rogers was over.
Were you and Dr. King around the same age?
Dr. King was I think a little older than me.
Okay.
So that's how that did. I thought I was messing up. I was just speaking out.
Yeah.
What I call like that.
What do you think Dr. King would say about the world today?
Well, I think he'd be very disappointed to a certain extent. And another extent, he would be proud because we are where we are, because of the courageous work that he did. I look at folk like you and Dr. Burnett, these young men here, I remember when there was a time we wouldn't have been able to see any black reporters and news takers like that. All of them were white. That was just the tradition of the time. Dr. King would be proud to see what has taken place and transpired. We're at a point now, you on your level, God put you there. You a pastor, you sing, you an administrator. Everybody don't have that many gifts in one.
Yes, sir.
You understand? God gives people gifts according to their several ability, you see. So, God, Dr. King's work, when I say Dr. King, I mean those who work with him, both men and women, have caused a lot. We've come a long ways in this city, long ways in this nation, but we still got a long way. The thing about coming a long ways, you have to be just as vigilant and tough to maintain what you have achieved. Because always the spirit trying to figure out how to divide and put you, that's our biggest trouble. We've come a long way, but we got to keep on being vigilant. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. You think, you can go, come on, I got it, we got it now, and we stop. You got to keep looking up to the hills from whence cometh your help. Dr. King was a spiritual leader, a Christian leader. He believed in prayer before ever we went out on anything. He's a man believed in love and non-violence. God is love. Some things you don't never get rid of.
That's right.
You see, some things you all right let go. But don't let God go the principles. And that's why Dr. King's organization has lasted as long as it has lasted.
Speaking of his organization, what did your leadership role in the SCLC mean to you?
It meant so much to me, I can understand. That's why he appointed me over the Minister Leadership Training Program. I didn't know nothing about that, or how that was, and I had to teach every week. The ministers had a curriculum from the University of Chicago, Pittsburgh, at what's that place in Atlanta? The integrated school. From Atlanta and other schools with the curriculum. We taught the ministers, including my brother, and Dr. Porter. A lot of them supported me in that. I didn't hardly know everything I was doing, but I had a curriculum. We had a curriculum that dealt with closing and the art of demonstration and all of that. So there's a lot of been involved. Negotiation. And all of that has been a part of the justice work of SCLC. Had dynamic men and women. People didn't even realize that. Got beaten, went to jail, and all of that. And I just thank God for using me in his service. I didn't seek after it, because when I got arrested for preaching in the pulpit, I wasn't trying to do nothing. I just said it was wrong for you to get on the bus. And then you can't sit down where there's a seat. You got to get up and get other people your seat and all of that. I did say that. That's the way I preach. That's the truth. I wasn't trying to get up, me. And I got sentenced to 6 months, hard labor, and fined $500 and fired off my job just for preaching the gospel.
Did you do the 6 months?
No, sir. No, I didn't do it. Went to 3 different courts. The Alabama State Court of Appeals threw it out under the direction of my attorney, Oscar Adams.
Wow.
Oscar Adams. He was the attorney. We went to Montgomery. And I didn't even have to testify. They called him up and said I was illegally arrested. I was only exercising my constitutional right of speech. had no business being arrested. So that's how that started back then.
How important is it, in your opinion, how important is it for these historic organizations like the SCLC, the NAACP, Urban League, how important is it, how crucial is it to the next generation and to the culture for young people to join? Because we're seeing now a lot of young people just aren't joining the organizations that fought for them to get the liberties they take advantage of. You know, so how important, if you could speak to young people right now, how important is it for them to get back involved in these civil rights organizations?
Well, we've got to continue to convince the young people that we have their interests at heart.
Yeah.
They think you just have your interests at heart.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And of course, young people are very important. There's a passage of scripture. Says a child shall lead them. So you cannot lead young folk out if you're going to do the work of God. But you commit a terrible sin if you leave them by themselves.
That's right. Oh, that's good.
You've got to follow example. Young folk, you can't fool them too easy.
Yeah.
They can pick up on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way God planned it, because there's gonna be a time they're gonna be the old folk. See, so we've got to continue to. We're not going anywhere if we leave our young folk behind.
That's right.
That's what made SCLC a great organization.
Young people leading it, absolutely.
Yeah, when Dr. King got out there, he was a young man.
Yeah.
And all that made it.
I want to play a game with you. A game, one word association. I'm going to say a word. You tell me how you were feeling in that moment, okay? All right, so here we go. The morning of the 16th Street bombing.
I was feeling very awful.
Where were you? Paint that picture. Give us the full graph.
I was at home when it happened, but the truth from here to glory, I came down there. Sunday morning, yeah, I was back up there. We couldn't get right at the church.
Mm-hmm.
Came down, I saw it that morning, and all the stitch was all over the place. You know, felt awful. Never expected nothing like that after feeling like that. I don't ever want to have to feel that again. However, I've had experience where I've been around where other bombings have taken place, even right over there at the motel. When they bombed the motel, tried to kill Dr. King. But thank God he had gone home, I think it was a Friday, to see his family. And he wasn't in that room. And that's where many of us got beaten up. A lot went on. There have been other times when other places got bombed. Dr. Shuttlesworth Church built over there. I don't know how many times, a number of times. A lot of people's houses got bombed. And I remember even post 16th Street, back there before the movement had begun to move up like it did. There was a place up there on Center Street called Dynamite Hill. Dynamite Hill. Nearly every Friday night there'd be some dynamite bomb, somebody's house bomb. Because blacks were building houses where whites had been mostly around, wasn't too heavily populated. So there are a lot of bombings you ain't read about took place. So it was a critical hour, and we know it's the Lord who brought us, and we remained nonviolent through that entire situation. And because of our prayers, it was a praying organization, still is. Many people joined in and helped us. We didn't all know who to go to, which way to go to, but God touched hearts for people to be concerned. So we've come a long ways. The other time we didn't have the police on our side.
That's right.
We didn't have the police on our side because we have, I call them names. You call Miss Drew, Miss Alexander, and I could name a few more of them. They take down the notes where we're being discriminated on this and all like that, and we want to get them to the Justice Department and all stuff like that. We didn't have no black policeman. I mean, not a one to go to in our meeting. We had policemen sitting up in our meeting, you know, like that. And all of them were not bad folk. You want me to tell you how you can find out? Some of them were sitting up there in the meeting watching us. Them preachers get to preaching sometime, and folk get to singing. Oh, they do it, they preach. They get you know, people are just people.
They're just people.
People are just people. I feel through that, we won a lot of people over on our side.
Tell me this, looking back over your life, is there anything you haven't accomplished that you wish you would have accomplished?
I'm working on it right now.
What's that?
In 76, thereabout, the Lord spoke to me about being a praying intercessor. And of course, I did what I could in that effort. Intercession, intercede with people when they knew it and when they didn't, and tried to help groups or anybody with my little meager self. But I know what God told me. The intercessory minister, that is standing in the gap for somebody else, being concerned about it. So that is the first one I mentioned it.
Wow.
That is one thing was on my mind through my retirement of SCLC. The Lord called me an intercessor. I got to do that when he got, well, I'm not sitting down for my concern and work for the Lord. But he had me to know, let that go. He had a vision, clarified for me.
That's what a lot of people think. So when we say Bishop Calvin Woods is retiring from SCLC, many people are asking, so does that mean if there's injustice, he's not going to say anything?
No, I can't. I'm not going to hell by rejecting God. But I'm going to do that. And what I learned, I can be of assistance to anybody who help me, but I'm going to please, knowing I had folk like you,
Yes, sir.
and a few of them who were close around there to help me, it was a job for me to come out. I didn't want to even turn it loose in just anybody's hand. But if God lets you know it's time for somebody else, He'll handle that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You'll handle that. So somebody was blowing for me. I was at the SCLC. This a vision I'm talking about now. I said, what is that? Horn just blowing, and I eventually went out there to the door and looked, and there's some folk in a car sitting out there. Come on, hurry up. Yeah, your place up here in the front. Come on, hurry up. And the horn was just sounding. It was an emergency. So I had to leave now. That was just a part of it. They had a seat waiting for me right up there in the front. The seat. And I came out of that. That wasn't just the only reason. So I'm just telling you some things like that. Because a lot of folks don't believe in that, but I'm just telling the truth about it. I have no doubt about that. And if you're going to be used by God, you can't just obey Him part of the way. So that being an intercessor, that's what we all got to do, should be doing all the time. Helping others, standing the gap, not just working for yourself. That means you got to keep working in the interest of other folk. And that's the main thing, working for the interest of other people. And that's a situation I'll be in till I die.
Yes, sir.
I know that's what I am because God told me, He called me that. Just like when I got to be a bishop,
Mm-hmm.
He called me that.
That's right.
He made me that. Just as plain as day, in the broad old daytime. And then, one Saturday morning, showed me my bishop regalia all on the door, and all that, and all of that. So whatever titles I use, so far, the Lord has done that.
I got a couple more questions for you. When it's all said and done, finish this sentence for me. Bishop Calvin Woods was
A servant of God, who loved God and loved people. Anything else doesn't matter.
love God, love people, make a difference.
It makes a difference.